Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
On the farm from dawn till dusk, hardworking hands tend to the land, equipment, and the animals. But your hard work deserves a little relaxation too. Visit the Nebraska Ag Expo, December 10th through the 12th at Sand Hills Global Event Center in Lincoln. See all the latest ag innovations in livestock and equipment, precision ag, drone, and AI tech, crop inputs, grain storage, and more. Take a break from the daily grind and recharge at the Nebraska Ag Expo. You deserve it. Sponsored in part by Farm Credit Services of America and Ag Direct.
Nebraska Veterans Aid is here for veterans and dependents facing unforeseen financial emergencies. Get assistance with food, fuel, shelter, clothing, transportation, and even funeral and medical expenses. If you're a veteran facing a financial emergency, apply for Nebraska Veterans Aid through your county veteran service officer. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/NVA. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horseback riding, zipline gliding, rock face climbing, hammock camping fun than you could ever imagine. And it's all outdoors, amongst the trees and across the prairie, here beneath Nebraska skies. Plan an outing today at yournebraskaadventure.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. It is Ticket Weeknights, kicked off by the Husker Football Hour. I'm Austin Norman, more importantly joined by elite sports columnist for the Omaha World Herald, Tom Shatel. As always, he joins us on our VIP line. It's brought to you by our friends at Allo. Allo is where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. Let's bring him in, Tom Shatel of the Omaha World Herald. Tom, how's it going? How's your Thanksgiving?
Good, real good.
Glad to hear it. What was the best thing you ate over Thanksgiving? What's your go-to?
Wow. Everything, as long as it has gravy on it.
Oh, thank you. My wife is a butter on her mashed potatoes person. I am a smother 'em in gravy person.
Yes.
Gravy is absolutely the way to go. Well, Tom, it's been a busy day in Husker football. Would you rather start with the news of the day or the game over the weekend?
You go. I'll talk.
Perfect. Well, let's start. Let's get the game out of the way. Nebraska, Iowa. Huskers fall 13-10 to Iowa. Did it feel like you watched that game before?
Oh, yes, but in this was a new way. And I had to remember, a year ago, they were driving to get the field goal and through the interception, I gave up the field goal. 2 years ago they won. That was crazy. And then the year before that, 21, they had the lead going in the fourth quarter, and they has the block punt and this and that, and it's just always something. So, I really thought that this one. I mean, this came with all sorts of drama that happened after deadline, and that nobody even knew as it was happening, and it was all pretty lame, but was more of a symptom of why Nebraska doesn't win. Also, so just a lot of stuff. But I thought that they outplayed them all game, but that doesn't matter. What matters is the final score.
13-10, the final score. Iowa ends up winning. Let's talk about that drama there, Tom, that came in after deadline. It's kind of dominated the headlines now, I think probably because both teams are bowl eligible. And for a rivalry game, there wasn't as much at stake as there maybe normally was, right? Sometimes it's Iowa fighting for a division title and a chance to go to Indy. Maybe it's Nebraska fighting to get bowl eligible. But the lack of handshakes from Nebraska, dare I say, it felt just like kind of the spark this rivalry needed in a year with lower stakes?
I guess, but, what's needed more than the rivalry or the spark is to win the game. And to me, that it's always something. I mean, one year, Nebraska was complaining. Excuse me, I'm coming down with a cold, so I'm going to be coughing a little bit. But one year Nebraska was complaining that Iowa was clapping during they were calling signals or whatever. I mean, it's just play the game. I've never known Nebraska to not shake hands, and that's to me, it's part of the uniform. It's part of the program. It's part of the culture. It's everything that you play the game the right way. You respect the opponent, and you respect the game. You're going to try to play some kind of Jedi mind trick on them, or you're going to intimidate them, or you're not going to intimidate Iowa on their field. You have to go take it. You have to go outplay them and take it. And this reminded me a little bit of and this is probably a bad analogy, but the Orange Bowl, the first one against Miami, where Nebraska switched. They had two defensive backs who, during warmups, switched jerseys, so they were going to fool Miami. Well, that's a move that says we don't think we can win straight up. We have to do something extra, and that's kind of what reminded me of Friday night. Can't win straight up. You have to do something to intimidate them at the handshake. I mean, come on. So, didn't like that. I didn't like the security guards at midfield much more. And then on the next day, I didn't like the flag planting. I don't know when the midfield logo became this sacred ground that you couldn't, meanwhile, during the game, there's blood on the logo. People are getting thrown down. They're stomping on it. Their plays are being run. I mean, it's not sacred during the game. It's only sacred before and after. So I don't understand that at all. Nor do I understand the need to grab a flag. When you've beaten Ohio State 4 straight times, why do you need to, plant a flag? You've beaten it 4 times in a row. What more is there to say? So I don't understand all this extra drama. I saw the video of Coach Rule walking through their warm-up. They really weren't even warming up. There were just a handful of Iowa players kind of walking around, and Rule was like doing his laps before he didn't interrupt anything. It's just more crap, and Iowa is good at doling out the crap. They usually do it after they win, which is okay. But one thing I didn't like was this linebacker who did all the talking after the game. Higgins,
yeah.
Yeah. He was bragging about the fact that he, went up to Matt Rule and was like giving him crap about the handshake. I was like, I have never, ever been around a team that had a player that did that. I correct myself. There was one time during the Missouri-Kansas basketball game where Mike Sambodi from Missouri ran by Roy Williams and started yelling at him. So to get some other players in here, you get your butt kicked, play some other players, and Roy yelled at him, "I don't have anybody else." And they started jawing at each other. I've never ever seen that anywhere else. So I've never heard of a Nebraska football player going up to like a Barry Switzer or a Bill McCartney or Bobby Bowden or Glenn Mason or any of them. Kirk Ferentz. Never heard of anybody doing that. So why would you go up to a coach, and smart off to him? That's total lack of class. Total lack of class.
And that's the funny part for me, Tom, is that it's Iowa lecturing Nebraska about it after they're doing the exact same thing. Problem is, you can give Iowa, what little high ground there is in this situation, because guess what? The Hawkeyes have won 9 out of 10 in the series.
I get it, but I think it's worth pointing out that this so-called lack of respect is two-way street.
Mm-hmm.
I think players are more empowered now. They're getting money. They're getting to do a lot of stuff. And so now they're, if this is a trend where we're going to see players jawing at the other coach, I mean, can you imagine doing that to Nick Saban or somebody like that? I mean, no way. So I just think this is, the Hawkeyes will lecture you about class and good manners, all, the whole protocol thing, Lisa Bluter and her precious protocol. They don't lecture you for days on that, but when they have to follow it themselves, it's a little different story. And that's fine. It's college football. There's going to be stuff to talk about and write about, but I just thought, this stuff is getting a little too far. And I feel like the Iowa-Nebraska series right now is about hotter than it's ever been. And I think next year will be really hot when it gets to Lincoln. And I hate to see it get to a point where there's a brawl after the game, where there's a flag and then there's a brawl and people are throwing haymakers and then it goes into the stand. The fans are throwing haymakers, and that's not what college football. That's not what a rivalry is all about. So and I feel like this weekend I took everything too far. It's up to the coaches who have to be the adults to kind of stop doing this. Don't let them take a flag. Get off the logo. If it bothers somebody, go to the end zone. Go somewhere else and do the prayer. I mean, these things don't have to happen.
They don't. I think, there's the video of Ryan Day just kind of standing on the periphery of Ohio State, Michigan.
Right.
And there's a lot going on there. But, Tom, I do think I want to take this angle here for just a second. If Nebraska players were going to get into a fight with any rival, my gut tells me it would have been Colorado back in the 90s. But guess what? Nebraska didn't do that. And obviously Nebraska didn't get into a fight with Iowa. It was kerfuffle maybe, and certainly much ado. But it really didn't rise to anything. I can't picture Nebraska getting into a fight with Oklahoma, the rivalry built on respect. Maybe I'm off base on that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Nebraska-Iowa rising to Nebraska-Colorado or Nebraska-Oklahoma levels, I can't say I predicted that. I don't think it should get there. So if tensions rise and escalate in a rivalry that's, 13, 14 years old now, more so than they ever did for Oklahoma or Colorado, either it's a bigger rivalry than I would have ever given it credit for, or it's a sign of the times and we got to turn the temperature down.
Yeah, I don't know where it's going. It's not there yet. But I will add, by the way, that after the game, I was still up in the press box. Everybody else, I've got to file something toward the end of the game, so I don't go downstairs for the quotes. Especially if it's a night game, I don't do that. So I'm up there watching, and the kick is good because I couldn't even see the ball. I just waited for the reaction. Kick is good. They celebrate. Then the whole team, and basically the whole team, runs to the other end zone to get to the stupid trophy. I mean, that's the first thing they do. So I guess shaking hands wasn't that big of a deal. I guess it wasn't that important to go shake their hands. Meanwhile, Nebraska most of the rest team just goes right to the locker room because Iowa's doing their thing with the trophy. So, wouldn't it be nice to? I mean, I think if you respect, the game belongs on the field, and then if there's extra stuff, then the people doing the extra will have to answer for it at some point. When they win, maybe they won't. Whatever. I just feel like these games should be, you go all out, and you play as hard as you can, and go shake hands afterwards. And I just feel like it's become WWE. It's becoming this thing that's more about talking and preening and all this other stuff. Then I tell you what, if you respect somebody, the win is a lot sweeter. If you don't respect them, who cares? You beat somebody, I don't respect them. Isn't as good? But if you respect them, you may hate them. You can hate them, certainly, but you do respect them. I just feel like, and I follow Dr. Rob Zaniska, the Lincoln native, the former Husker captain, on Twitter, and he got after it pretty good this weekend about the handshake, and his message was that there's 1,000 things you need to think about if you're going to be a champion, and if you're not shaking hands, you're not thinking about those all those things. So I agree. It's what are the priorities? I mean, so very interested to hear Matt Rules talk about this. I think it's important that he does. I know there's a whole generation, and probably a lot of your listeners, our listeners, who all disagree with me and think I'm full of it. And I get that. It's kind of a generational thing. I'm hearing from a lot of people, probably older fans, who were really upset about not getting the handshake done. And I hear other people saying it's no big deal, and they make fun of it. So I totally understand that. And there were probably people, college basketball, who want to do away with the handshake after the game. I think that because of some of the court storming and stuff. And there are a lot of people who say, well, if we do, why do we have to shake hands after the game? Well, I think that's where we're going in sports. And I don't like it, but I don't have to like it. And if somebody else, some things can happen. I don't have to have my way. I understand that. But I think it just takes away from the game. The rest of football was always about honor and class and doing things the right way. And, Herald I'd like to hear him answer to that a little bit. And if he knew that was going to happen, I'm kind of wondering if they did that on their own or what. But, I'd be very disappointed if I thought he ordered it or he knew about it ahead of time. That's not how you play.
We're talking with Tom Shatel here on our Aloe Fiber VIP line. Couple things on the game before we take our first break of the show here, Tom. First thing is, there are a couple big plays in the game that either Iowa made or Nebraska didn't make. In your opinion, what was maybe the one or two plays that swung the outcome to the Hawkeyes' favor in the end?
Well, doggone it, the punt return thing was just one of those things. I felt bad for Shavers. I mean, he thought it was a live ball, and I think I don't know why it wasn't caught. I have to go back and look. But the and the screen pass touchdown. I mean, Johnson's just great runner, and so there were some missed tackles. I think sometimes people tackling now think you're going to shoulder a guy or bump them and he's going to go down. And, the great guys great running backs like that aren't going to do that. So, but I think Nayer's that's just one you want to go, shoot. Mm-hmm. And I can't blame him for trying to go, the last drive, trying to throw it and get something. You got to really tighten up the pass protection on that. So, again, just a few things. They made a lot of right plays. They did a lot of right things. The defense, after the punt return, muff, was fantastic. I thought they were in trouble after that. I thought, well, they aren't going to score. They're not going to get a touchdown after that. So, it's just, I've a few players, maybe several players short right now. They got to get more guys in there. I think Dylan another year, and hopefully with Dana Holgerson is going to make him better. It's just, you can look at your 2 or 3 games this year. Illinois, UCLA, that one, when you go, it could have been 3 more wins.
Even USC, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly so, and that's I certainly thought I think Tony White did a fantastic job here in 2 years. He really did installing the toughness. I think he was the reason that Ty Robinson came back, and it's just they did a lot to put in the I guess the principles and the culture of that defense. But they weren't perfect. They were an Illinois game, a UCLA game. They just gave up too much, and I think that Illinois the offense wasn't a problem then, but it got to be the offense was starting to be kind of a dead weight there, and they probably had to do too much on defense. But I just feel like it was very good. If it had been a little better, we'd be 7 or 8 wins right now. But there's a lot of woulda, couldas in a season. So, but yes, the Tony White will be missed, and but it's not a surprise. I mean, he could have been head coach last year if he had offered him a job. I mean, he was certainly open to leaving last year. So it was going to happen again. Florida State's a gamble for him in a lot of ways. Mike Norvell is on the hot seat. That's why they're going to pay Gus Malzahn to come in there and be the offensive play caller, and that's why Tony's going there. But if they don't turn that around next year, they could get rid of him. So I don't know what his buyout is, but I can't see Florida State having another year like this, and they're not going to sit still for that. So, but I mean, it's about the portal. They're going to have to get players. Nebraska's going to have to get players. So, and they lost some today as well. So, this signing day, but all eyes are on the portal, even with signing day coming.
2 days from signing day, a week from the portal. I think Tony White's a good spot to jump off. We got to take our first break here of the show. On the radio dial, it'll be Monday Night Football. Stick with us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Allo Channel 961. We've got Tom Shatel of the Omaha World Herald. We'll talk about Tony White's departure heading down to Tallahassee. Plenty more with Tom as well when we get back here to the Husker Football Hour on 93.7 The Ticket.
You're counting on your team to win, so why not prove it? By placing your bets at Warhorse Sportsbook. Their win is your win. Put your money where your mouth is on nearly every sporting event. Use the Warhorse app to check odds and build your bets before placing your wagers in person at Warhorse Casino, including live in-game betting. No bets, no glory. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horseback riding, zipline gliding, rock face climbing, hammock camping fun than you could ever imagine. And it's all outdoors, amongst the trees and across the prairie, here beneath Nebraska skies. Plan an outing today at yournebraskaadventure.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Wellman Plumbing at 402-434-2400 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-434-2400.
Midwest Bank invites you to celebrate with us. Join us for our Christmas open house on Friday, December 6th at our 70th and Pioneers or 27th and Jamie Lane locations. We'll have cookies, coffees, and apple cider waiting for you, along with the chance to enter our raffle for some wonderful prizes. Come share the holiday cheer with us. We can't wait to see you there. Happy holidays from Midwest Bank. Learn more at www.midwest.bank. Member FDIC.
What a day. I could sure use an afternoon pick-me-up. Hold up. The new 93.7 The Ticket location has a milk, coffee, and tea inside? Oh, yeah. This is a game changer.
Need an afternoon pick-me-up? How about a coffee or smoothie on your way to work? Stop by the Ticket Mill location on 1040 O Street to get your go-to drink or try out our new game day drinks exclusive to the Ticket Mill location. We know it'll make your day a million times better.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just a professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
On the farm from dawn till dusk, hardworking hands tend to the land, equipment, and the animals. But your hard work deserves a little relaxation too. Visit the Nebraska Ag Expo, December 10th through the 12th at Sand Hills Global Event Center in Lincoln. See all the latest ag innovations in livestock and equipment, precision ag, drone, and AI tech, crop inputs, grain storage, and more. Take a break from the daily grind and recharge at the Nebraska Ag Expo. You deserve it. Sponsored in part by Farm Credit Services of America and Ag Direct.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back here on Husker Football Hour, the Husker Football Hour with Tom Shatel of the Omaha World Herald. He's joining us on our VIP line brought to you by Aloe Fiber, where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. Tom, we have some comments here on the stream. A couple of them we've seen a little bit throughout the day, alluding to Tony White might have been asked to leave, or Matt Rule didn't like the 3-3-5 anymore. I don't know what your read on the situation is, but mine is no. Matt Rule really liked Tony White, appreciated the efforts that Tony White brought to Nebraska, and you're not often, and especially not in Nebraska's position, to be in a position to tell a coordinator of a top 25 or better defense, yeah, sorry, your services will no longer be needed. Please go find another job.
I can't believe that. I don't know where that came from, but I certainly don't believe that. I don't know what. Now that said, I don't know what happened, but I find that hard to believe. We just get way too caught up in scheme. I know that's easy to say, but damn it, it's proven over the years that Charlie McBride was a whole lot smarter in the 90s than he was in the 80s. And the other good players in the 80s, Neil Smith, Broderick Thomas, and some of those guys, Leroy Etienne. But he had a lot more dudes. They call them dudes now. We used to call them difference makers. Now we call them dudes. It's about the players. And Nebraska needs better players on defense. They had certainly enough to hold down Iowa, but Iowa's offense isn't very good. Okay, let's just be honest about that. Illinois had a much better quarterback and was able to do some stuff on them. UCLA, the first half they did, and of course USC. But I think Nebraska had a good defense this year, but they've got to upgrade. I've got to upgrade the talent across the board in the portal, and certainly guys coming up this year. So but I don't know the scheme. I mean, other teams run that 3-3-5. I mean, it's not that big of a it's not like this thing that nobody's ever seen. It's a lot more common now. But I think they'll names I've seen. Elijah Robinson from Syracuse. So he was the interim guy at A&M last year. He's been to A&M. He was with Rule, I believe, at Temple and maybe Baylor.
Yep.
He's a hot guy. He's a Syracuse. He replaced Tony White, or maybe not. I don't remember.
He came with Fran Brown when Fran Brown was hired up there before this year.
Yeah. But anyway, he was he's good. Jim Leonard is a good name. The Wisconsin coordinator. So there's going to be guys. They're going to find somebody good. I don't know about John Butler. I don't know if that's in the cards or if that was part of the deal when he was hired. But he's certainly been a coordinator as well. So I think they'll be okay there. The defensive line is something that they're going to have to retool that, and then that includes we're going to have to go on a pot roast diet now, man. No more pot roast. I miss that gravy and all that stuff. But, he was a really good line coach. So interesting that they're kind of a package deal, I guess. They'll be fine, but they've got to get players. They've got to get bigger and they got to get faster, and secondary has to get better. And so I think that whoever they hire, I think they'll hire somebody good. And I wonder how much of recruiting would be part of that.
That's always going to be a big part of it, especially in this day and age of college football. And Tony White wasn't a huge off-campus guy. He was absolutely a closer when they got on campus. Terrence Knighton got Nebraska, in the door with a lot of recruits, and certainly kept some big names around. Tom, I'm glad you brought that up though with the defense and the players, right? The dudes. I thought Nebraska had dudes on defense this year, but I don't think the unit as a whole took a big step forward from 2023 to 2024. I don't want to be unfair because I think Nebraska is worse off without Tony White, without knowing who the right name was going to be. He was a darn good defensive coordinator. But Tom, I don't think I'm wrong in saying that I was maybe a little let down by the Nebraska defense this year because, again, when it had a chance to slam a door on an Ohio State or an Iowa or an Illinois or a UCLA or a USC, it didn't happen. It seems like there's always that one or two drives extra that an elite defense, a great defense, steps up and stops, whereas a really good defense, okay, that's just what it is. Am I being unfair, or were you expecting maybe another level from the Nebraska defense this year?
Well, no, I thought they were good. Most of the year, Colorado they dominated. A really hard offense to dominate, and it really changed Colorado's team going forward. They adjusted to what Nebraska exposed and then took off. The Illinois game to me was when they just felt like they were a step behind the whole game.
Yeah.
And the quarterback from their Ole Miss transfer was just kind of playing with them. I get on the perimeter and is he going to run? Is he going to pass? And then he'd throw a pass to a guy wide open. And they were just a step behind Illinois all game, even though it got into overtime. And then in overtime, Illinois went bam, bam, bam. UCLA was one where you gotta get up the field, and they just let UCLA control the first half. And Nebraska had like 3 plays the first quarter and a half. They just couldn't get them off the field. And UCLA's okay, but they're not. Offense isn't like you should do that. So, but they saved the day at Rutgers. They saved the day with the goal line stand. They almost saved the day Friday night. They gave up the one play. The one play killed them. And damn it, in that series, man, that's all it takes. It's just one play. Even when they get, Nebraska gives up the sack and the fumble at the end, the defense stiffened. They didn't get much, if anything, and they still had to make a long field goal. So I thought they were fine. I thought they were good Friday night, just to the one play. But I go back to, and the USC game. It's it's USC out there. It's not going to be easy. I don't think Nebraska had. I think that they could still get a little more speed, and the linebacker spot I think can be upgraded a little bit. And they obviously won't want to get pass rushers, obviously now too. But that to me, the UCLA and the Illinois games kind of stood out. The rest of them made. The game at Purdue, they controlled that and kept Nebraska. They had the kind of a offense that for a while there was in a slump, and really, had play calling and all the just couldn't get anything going, and so they had to hold up the team, almost the whole game was for some of those games. So I always felt like it was good, but they spoiled us early, and I felt like there were games they didn't live up to their standard. And so I think I would agree with that.
That's totally fair. And I think that brings me around to this, is that if the defense was as good as it was, right, pretty much the same as last year across the board, that puts even more pressure on the offense. But whether you talk about the offense, the defense, or the special teams, Tom, that's not a clutch team. Nebraska's not clutch. It hasn't been against Iowa for 9 out of 10 games, or 7 out of 10, I guess, in terms of the one score games against Iowa. But the one play to Caleb Johnson only tied the game. The missed field goal, the muffed punt, those were all in the third quarter or early in the fourth quarter. Nebraska still had 15 minutes to go make plays. The defense didn't create a single turnover in this game, and the offense didn't put together another scoring drive in the second half.
Yeah. There's still work to be done there, that's for sure. And I'll tell you what, I was special teams problem kind of went away because they weren't screwing anything up, but it was never a positive factor. Certainly there were a couple of times they almost blocked the punt, but it was kind of to me, nothing, I guess, says more about the coaching staff than special teams. I mean, how good is your coaching staff? Are you good at special teams? Does that matter? Is that a priority? I've always thought the best coaching staffs had the best special teams, and so I think Nebraska needs to make that a bigger priority. And Iowa, people have their fun with them, but the kicker matters, the punter matters, all that stuff matters, and they do it all the time. They find people, they replace them. It's a priority, and that's their identity. And do you want more than that? Sure, but hey, they're 8-4, and they didn't have a very good year. They were being talked about to go into the playoff back in August, but that's that didn't work. Our offense was just not going to happen. What that happened. So yeah, I think you're right. I think players are clutch. I think players, the better players you have, the more clutch you're going to be. I don't think coaches are clutch. I think players are. And so they need to get some more of those guys. I think they've got a guy at quarterback who's going to be clutch. But he still needs some more help. And he needs coordinator help. And he's got to get some receivers. They've got to be clutch. So, the one, I could put the game on there, but he catches the pass and goes down and scores. It's that's clutch. That's the ball game. So it just they kind of grinded out a 6-6. They did what they had to do. They grinded out Rutgers. They grinded out a couple other wins. It was just Indiana was that exposed to the fact that they didn't have enough. And I think one thing I think was interesting that I think was a telltale for this year. It wasn't on Friday night, but Illinois and UCLA, Indiana, all had older quarterbacks, 5-year guys, 4 or 5-year guys, and I think those teams had an advantage over Nebraska. They did, and Ohio State had an older quarterback, but they had everything. So, but just obviously USC didn't have an older quarterback, but I'm just saying there were some games, especially the UCLA, and I think they could use a little more. I say this because I mean you still have to they have to shake hands, but they could use a little more energy or attitude. I forget UCLA coming in there, and they jumped on top, and they were pointing and making all these whatever. They were all fired up, and I feel like Nebraska I kind of sleepwalked into that game. Maybe part of that is leadership. Maybe part of that is, but let's remember the Wisconsin game when they had to have it, and they did. They got it. They played maybe their best game of the year, and the most important game of the year, with everything on the line. They were absolutely clutch, and they were absolutely dominant. And they followed it up. Frankly, I didn't know how they would play up Friday night, having clinched the bowl game. And they were pretty dominant. They came out and stuffed Iowa, time and again. And they just needed a little bit more. That's sort of the theme of the year, just a little bit more.
And I think I think consistency too, Tom, right? I mean, you saw positive flashes from Dylan Raiola, but you saw freshman moments. You saw those moments like against Colorado and against Wisconsin where Nebraska did play with energy, emotion, with fire. And then other moments like UCLA, like you're talking about, where it just disappeared. I think just my vibe of Matt Rule and his coaching staff is they just want to, sit in the middle, right? Just be consistent, be steady. But there comes a time where you got to flip that switch, right? Be an animal on the field, find a way to raise the stakes emotionally. And Matt Rule can certainly do that. You've seen the same, pregame and postgame locker room speeches I have, and plenty of Husker fans have. If we die, we die. We're going to lay it out there on the line, all that stuff that the Matt Rule said. He's certainly not lacking in the ability to be a motivator. But that, to me, is where there might be something getting lost in translation consistently, whether it's from Matt Rule to his players or from the position coaches to the players. Because while I can respect, not wanting to get too high or not wanting to get too low, it just feels like, an extra emotional element for Nebraska to ride that wave of momentum, good vibes, juice, energy, whatever you want to call it, could go a long way for this program.
Well, here's an angle that I hadn't thought about. We always look at the Rule of Temple, Rule of Baylor. The third year was a big jump. But I wonder, and I haven't looked at those teams, but I wonder if those were basically the teams going into that third year together. You don't get that much anymore. Teams don't stay together. Teams break up. Nebraska's going to start breaking up. Team players have left today. They'll leave tomorrow. They'll leave the rest of the week. They have to get down to the roster limit, of course. But I mean, I just wonder if we can't lean on what happened at Temple and Baylor necessarily because those teams stayed together for 3 years, and so. But I think this is true everywhere. The best teams are led by the players. They're coached by the players. They're motivated. They're self-motivated. They're self-policed. If some guy's screwing up, the older guys get on it. The leadership takes over. Those are the best teams when you don't have to coach. They know what to do, and the portal makes that harder too. You get new guys in there. You got to kind of, okay, here's what we're doing. You have to almost start over on some of these guys. So, but everybody has to go through that.
Especially in this day and age, right? It's the problems that Nebraska is facing are, I mean, yes, there are some problems that are unique to Nebraska, given the environment, the ecosystem, and everything. But Tom, there's nothing that Nebraska football can't fix by getting better players.
Well, that said, I like what the offensive line has done ever since Holgerson got there. I like the offense. Mm-hmm. Emmett Johnson, okay? I mean, he's got a couple years left. I mean, he's going to be great. Obviously, Dylan Raiola is on the way up. I'd love to see him stay 3 years to see how good he can be. But you got to surround him with help. And so, the receiving core will be big going into next year. Tight ends. But I like that whole setup. They're going to have a great offense next year. And they've got to just fill in the holes on defense and make sure they've got a good coordinator and just keep the players coming. Again, I think Holgerson and Raiola can attract a lot of players on both sides of the ball. Mm-hmm. Come play with me. Come be part of this thing. And so, I mean, we got a long way to go until the end of the portal. But it's a big month. It's a big off season, and I'm optimistic. I think they will be better next year. I do. I just think it's just you sit here not knowing who's going to be on the team, and that's a little hard to. We're not going to make any predictions right now, but assuming that the main characters are back, they sign up Holgerson. And they'll find a good coordinator on defense. I'm optimistic for it.
We're starting to get reports trickling in online. A couple people on the comment section on the text line have said that it looks like Nebraska has agreed in principle to a 2-year deal with Dana Holgerson to stick around as the offensive coordinator. Let's say that's true, Tom. What gives you the most hope with Dana Holgerson sticking around as OC?
Well, I wrote last week, I love the idea of Raiola and Holgerson in the off season. They're both gym rats. They'll both be in the film room. They'll both be sitting around with pieces of paper or napkins or whatever. Maybe they go to Raising Cane's or something, get a napkin, or they'll draw plays wherever they go. I just like the idea of those two collaborating on everything and being on the same page. And then you go through a spring practice and then a summer and a fall camp. I mean, it's there's a certain magic that can happen between an offensive coordinator and a quarterback who's got all the tools. And who's got the quarterback brain. He sees things maybe other guys don't. I mean, there's a lot there, a lot of potential there, a lot of open territory to be covered with these two. And I just like the idea that let's give this a chance to grow and see what happens. But I mean, just imagine, you see what they've done. Imagine what they can do. And again, get some receivers in there day one. They know what Holgerson wants. It's not a situation of, you don't know what, if you're going to be on the field or not. Well, if you're not blocking and if you're not running the right routes, you're not making plays, you're not going to be on the field. So let's start that from, day one. And to be honest, the first year they didn't have depth, so they couldn't really do a lot of that. But yeah, I'm excited because quarterback and coordinator, I think are going to be are going to be two of a kind, and they're going to be together for an off season. I think that's going to reap benefits.
With the news that Dana Holgorsen is re-signing, it's one major item off the checklist, obviously, with the early signing day, with transfer portal coming up. A lot more decisions to make for Nebraska. But, Tom, going into, obviously there's still a bowl game, but this offseason for Nebraska and Matt Rule, scale of 1 to 10, how important is this offseason maybe compared to the previous two?
It's bigger than the first two. Because while the culture may be instilled, it's you've got to upgrade the roster, and it's going to be ready for a takeoff next August. It's Cincinnati and Arrowhead, I guess.
Yeah,
that's where it's going. It's there shouldn't be a lot of holes. There should be a lot of people ready to play and ready to make plays. So, I will, again, with you're going to have a new coordinator on defense to teach and get everybody on the same page there. But again, the Holgorsen thing came in there for 3 weeks, and that's not much. So, an off season with him and his offense, and I love the fact that he's going to be a coordinator, and maybe he doesn't want to be a head coach. I don't know. Frankly, that's fine. That's his deal. Look at Gus Malzahn. Probably wasn't going to work out for him. UCF.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go be a coordinator of Florida State. Let's go reinvent my career as a coordinator. You can make a lot of money as a coordinator, and where you don't have all the problems of the head coach, the responsibilities. You just get to be the coordinator, and he's kind of the good guy. He's the fun uncle, So that's a good job to have. You get paid a lot of money to do that. So, if that's where Holgorsen's career is going, I like that. So, I always wonder about Scott Frost. That's where he belongs. But I don't know. Are we hearing his name for UCF? Is that possible? I don't know. But that would be wild. But I don't know. I've not heard that. I've just seen people speculate, and everybody thinks it's probably a good idea. But maybe it's not a good idea. Who knows? But I really think big offseason. I think it's a big offseason for special teams, and Ed Foley, he came in here and he took over the state, and every small town loves the guy. He's a great ambassador. I think he's a good football coach, but they've got to be better on special teams, and I don't know what that means. I don't know if he'll be doing that again, or if he is, it's going to be better. They've got to make it a priority. Again, best coaching staffs have great special teams. Nebraska always had great special teams. Always. Why can't you return a punt? Why is it always a fair catch? Or can't things be blocked? But yet, give him credit. John Hall really improved. So there's got to be something going on there. But it's just overall, special teams needs to be upgraded. So I think that's a missing piece going into next year. I think it's an important piece.
Big offseason ahead for Matt Rule and the Huskers. Tom, one more before we let you go, Big Ten related. Oregon opens up 3.5-point favorites over Penn State in the Big Ten championship game. You got the newcomers, or you got Penn State back for the first time since they won it in 2016?
Well, I think Oregon's going to win. I don't know if the Penn State's offense sometimes I just think Oregon's is gonna score more. So, but it's really interesting. I mean, Oregon really wants to win this in his first year there, but I guess these things are important. I mean, the playoff is going to overtake everything, and we don't even know about this year. We don't even know what this is going to be like. We don't know what's coming. But I really think, do you want to have the first week off? Yeah, you want to rest your guys. Want to have the bye week. But it's cool to have a home game too, right? That'll be very cool for teams. I just don't know what's at stake. I don't know what a Big Ten championship is going to mean going forward, because the playoff is, both teams are going to be in the playoff. So, it would be very interesting going forward. Certainly not the same stakes as the Big 12, which is just going to get one team in.
Right.
Or the ACC, maybe two. Depends on it. SEC politics, which usually gets their way. But I think it's fascinating. It'll be really interesting to see if there will be conference championship games going forward. And the answer to that is probably yes, because of money. But what will they mean? And what will it mean to win? With winning the conference, I think it'll be about the playoff. So, anyway, yeah, I like Oregon, and waiting to see where they put Ohio State and where they put Miami. In this thing, and it's just. That whole Ohio State thing is just it's crazy. But yeah, Ryan Day did. I mean, we could do a whole other show on this topic, but I think his buyout is too much. I think these buyouts, and that's one thing. Ted Carter, who ironically is at Ohio State now, the former Nebraska president, he told me last year. He said one thing you're going to see changed is the buyouts for coaches' contracts are going to be less. It's going to go down. They'll still get the money, but the buyouts will be less. That'll be the trade-off. So, because you can't, coaches can't. They're too expensive. You got to spend the money on players. You can't spend it on buying out the coach. So, who knows if that had been the case with our buddy Pelini. I mean, maybe they couldn't have fired him because they had to pay the players. And they couldn't afford to give him all the money, or Frost. So I think that'll be interesting to see what happens in Ohio State. I think he'll get another year, but holy cow, that's the vibes there are not good.
I lied, Tom. One more. How about we throw some love to throwbacks here? Can you imagine back in the mid to late 90s telling yourself that in 25, 30 years, there was going to be a world where Iowa State and Arizona State were playing for the chance to play for national championship?
Yeah, it sounds like a hell of a Fiesta Bowl to me. That's it's crazy. I guess no crazier than Nebraska playing Texas for a league title. I mean, and that happened twice in 4 years. It's just or K-State, A&M, or any of them. We've seen a lot of crazy stuff, but I'm not shocked anymore by it. I don't think. I think realignment's probably done for a while, but I don't think. I don't think Florida State and Clemson are going to go anywhere. At least not right now. But anyway, I'm sure whoever's ABC or televising the Big 12 game probably wanted Dion, but the BYU's couldn't come through for him. But I guess the Houston Cougars, the Cougars from Houston couldn't come through for him. But there are a lot of changes coming up, but I don't think we're just starting. with coaches and transfers, and meanwhile there's a signing day Wednesday. So I'll probably see you at that press conference.
We never lack for places to be or things to talk about in the great sport of college football. Tom, as always, appreciate your hour here. Fight off this cold. We'll see you soon.
All right, thanks, Austin. See you.
It's Tom Shatel of the Omaha World Herald with us on our Aloe Fiber VIP line. Aloe's where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. Tom's got a column up on Tony White departing for Florida State. Check that out at omaha.com. Find him on Twitter at Tom Shatel OWH. I got to get out of here. I got the Mornay Pearsonell breathing down my neck. He deserves some airtime as well. Take a Weeknights continues next with the Don't Punt Hour.
Who wants free diamonds? This holiday season, as a thank you for shopping with us, Sartor Heyman Jewelers is giving you free diamonds. Now through December 6th, receive a pair of sparkling diamond stud earrings, a stunning diamond pendant, or a gorgeous diamond tennis bracelet for free with your qualifying purchase. We only have a limited number to give away, so once they're gone, they're gone. Don't wait on this one. Visit Sartor Heyman Jewelers, where your gift shopping shines brighter. In Lincoln at South Point Mall, downtown, and in Grand Island on State Street.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free same-day estimate or a trusted second opinion. You heard that right, a free same-day estimate. 402-423-6960. ActionLincoln.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, wanting to thank you all again for your continued service. November is off and running. Check this out. Get up to $12,000 off or 0% financing on select new vehicles. We have great lease specials with new Trax and Trailblazers starting at $299 per month and new Blazer EVs leasing for $399. Great payments, discounts, and of course, 0% financing. So make that short drive down 144th Street or check us out online